Why are we called Christians? There's been a lot of controversies around this name, Christian. Some people say it's a religion, but others have argued that it's a lifestyle. The disciples were first called Christians in Antioch, Syria, as recorded in the New Testament of the Bible, specifically in Acts 11, verse 26. Now, I would like us to note something. This passage says that the disciples were called Christians by others. They weren't the ones who gave themselves that name, and they were given that name because of the events that had happened. In the same Acts 11, 19 to 26, we see how despite the persecution on the church, some of the disciples still continued to proclaim the gospel to the Greeks. They were not shaken by what had happened, which is the death of Stephen. And these disciples were doing so much. The power of God was evident in their works, and a great number of people were converted to the faith. The church at Jerusalem now had to send Barnabas to Antioch, and Barnabas continued in the same might, showcasing the power of God and making disciples of all men who believed. This track record was what made the people to call them Christians, because they were imitating what Christ was doing while he was on earth. The word Christian has many meanings, like Christ-like, imitators of Christ, or followers of Christ. Anyone who identifies as a Christian ought to represent Christ and live a life that emulates Christ. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of people have argued that Christian or Christianity isn't a religion, but rather it's a way of life. A lot of people on paper say they are Christians, but then their works and actions tell a different thing. From Acts 11, 19 to 26, we see that the name came as a result of the actions that the disciples were displaying. So being a Christian isn't a mere formality that we just need to fulfill on paper. When you say you're a Christian, it means that you're saying that your life is reflecting Christ and that people can see Christ through you. Being a Christian is an identity. It is a way of life. It is a trademark that has to be backed up with actions. Actions that are not different from what Christ did and what the early disciples did. So I'm going to end with this. In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 1, Paul said something very important there. He said, "So I, the prisoner of the Lord, appeal to you to live a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called. That is, to live a life that exhibits godly character, moral courage, personal integrity, and mature behavior. A life that expresses gratitude to God for your salvation." The summary of this matter is in this passage. Live a life worthy of your calling. If you say you're a Christian, live a life worthy of the name Christian.